to get the rear housing, or this whole assembly out today. I just got it set up in there. And I need to get in here and grind that axle. So we're going to grind that axle down so it's ready to weld and make the mounts up off of it for the parallel link to weld on. Alright, I'm going to grind this down and clean the axle up here. And this axle has a cast iron center, so I really don't want to weld to the center section. But I can weld these square the steel tubes without any problem. So I'm going to clean the steel tubes up, and then when I go to build the airbag mount in here, we'll try to make it just welded to the tube on both sides. So I'm going to hit it with a grinder. Alright, so we're down here and I'm cutting the spring perches off and getting this all cleaned up and ground down in this area. So on the back here, that Watts bar is going to connect on here somehow, and but I need to get these spring perches off to make the mounts, and before I get the other the ladder bars welded in, it's going to be easiest to do it now. So I'm going to get this one cut off, and then we'll go get the ladder bar back. Alright, so we can see the rear end's level in the chassis here. It's like that on both sides of the axle tubes. So get it on here so you can see it's level, and the frame where the mount's going to be. So if I go side to side on this frame here, that you can see that the frame is level at the mount point location. So it's going to get welded like right in here. So we're level. Frame's level. I got the jack set up with this at where ride height is going to be at. So, and we're using the leaf springs as our fixturing. So now we're ready. Now I got everything cleaned off and everything's level. What we're going to do is put the link bars in here as they're squared from making it on the weld table with that fixture and the jig that's built into it with the all thread. We're going to put it up here, and we're going to take the jack and we're going to put it in here until this bubble says it's level on the link bar. So that should be, we really want it level or close to level at ride height. So we'll just put it up against the rear end, start jacking this up till the bubble says level, and then we'll tack everything in place. Alright, so I got this square across the frame here. We're sitting at 0.4, 0.5 with the level. You can't even tell it. So, and then down here the crossbar. Same thing, 0.4, 0.5. And then we're going to take this drop my level. That's always good. So we'll come back here and .4, 0.5. Same thing with the other side. It's been ground down here. 0.4, 0.5. So we got the frame and the axle square with each other. Now we'll go up and put the level on the link bars. So yeah, I didn't put the level over here, did I? We'll set the level up so you can see the level. I don't know if I can fit it in this side or not. Yeah, so you see the level there. So we got everything really close. I'm gonna go up and show you how, now this is ride height in the truck. That was set up when I did all the frame modifications. So we'll probably go 5 to 7 inches. There's 7.5 inches here, so there'll be bump stops welded to stop all the way up on both sides. But it'll end up collapsing, you know, moving this whole distance. But we want, at ride height, we want it level. So we're gonna set those bars level. So inside that perch, if I can get this thing to focus. Inside that perch, you see that block I welded to maintain distance? And I got a C-clamp on it. That holds it all the way back. See the C-clamps? So I'm holding those clamps all the way back here in the back for the you know, mounts for the rear before it's being welded. So I know it's held all the way against the rear axle, and that distance will be right out the front. Alright, so we use the jack down here off the jig. This whole waist jig will be cut out here in a minute. So what we've done is used a level and an angle finder. See how it says 0? Same thing on this side. I don't know if I bumped the jack. Hold on a second. Alright, so you see how this side says 0.1? Take it over there. That side says 0.1. So we got the bars level. You put the level on it in here. See how level they are? Put it over here on the other side. So we got the bars in there level this way. We got them matching that way. So we're good enough to weld it in now. And the frame is level. And when I measure back from my cut point, the distance is the same from where I cut the frame over there. So they're both 5.5 inches back. And these distances have already all been set, and we're clamped straight to the axle. Axle and the front bar is the same. You know, that jig was all squared up on the table. So we're ready to weld it in, and then get rid of that waist jig that's in the inside. Alright, I forgot to show that I come square this way on the frame on both sides. So it's completely square and it's even on both ways. And I measured the center bar off the floor. They're both the same measurement, 24 and 16. And then the rear was measured with a metric tape measure, but it's 600 millimeter off the floor. So I've gone ahead and tacked the front crossbar in. And you know, this was all square from before. So I'm going to go ahead and come back here and tack these mounts in here for the back of the bars. Then we'll. Alright, I got it all welded inside and out here. And we've let it cool. So what I've done is I've bent some straps like this up. We're going to go down here and weld the strap on like this so that that grabs back into the housing. It'd be harder to rip it off once this is extra piece of metal is put on there. So we're gonna weld these 4 plates in, like so, and keep these, you know, harder for it to rip it off the axle. All right, I'm gonna get them all welded on now. All right, so you can see how much stronger it is now with the strap welded on. So it's not going to break off there now. It would have to rip the axle in pieces. So we've got those 2 extra pieces made that don't come in the kit, and now we'll go up to the front and we'll put a support in on that bar. So you can see it grabs it all the way up past the center point now. So they're not going to break off there. There's another angle. So there's another one of those on the bottom. So that's all, you know, one giant thing now. All right, so we'll come up here and we'll put a couple DOM tubes or something to grab down there to the bar. And then we'll finally we welded it enough that we can cut this jig out and put the bolts in it. And once that's done, we make that centerpiece drive shaft loop. All right, so I've added those 2 pieces of DOM tube, and they go up there and grab that front piece of the frame. So we got gussets in here. So you know, when that rear end's pushing, it's actually pushing against that other piece of the frame too. So so we got the gussets in. Now when it cools down, I'll be able to cut the center section out, the waist jig. So we'll cut that out, put the proper bolts back in instead of the all thread, because that all thread's you know, make it straight all the way across there. So we'll put the individual bolts in, and then we'll pull a string from here, from this drive shaft to the back of the transmission, and we'll cut the center of that bar out and make it another drive shaft loop. And I'm just going to come in here with the grinder and start whacking the jig out. I'm just doing it one bolt at a time so that I can I don't want to deal with the whole thing, so I'm just going to do one bolt at a time and get it, you know, the new bolt put in, and get the jig all out. So I'm going to do that now. All right, I got that one cut out, got that one cut out, cut that section out, and I'm just replacing the bolts. I'm going around and just taking them all out and getting it bolted up. All right, I got the top part of the rear drive shaft hoop made across this cross member, so we're going to tack this all up here, weld it, and then we'll make the bottom one. It'll go down, and then we'll cut that center section of that out for the drive shaft to pass through. But I really wanted it straight, and it was easier to line it up in the jig and everything with this all straight bar instead of a modified cross member. We know that is straight. We'll just weld it up real solid right now, and then cut that centerpiece out. Alright, I decided I don't want to build the lower part of it because I really don't want nothing to catch. I'd like for it to skim over stuff instead of having like a brick wall down there. So I'm just going to, I boxed it all up and put plates on it. And I'm going to cut that lower piece out and then plate it with a piece of angle. And the drive shaft to be able to go through there then. Alright, I'm going to cut it out now with the Sawzall. Alright, so I capped the end off there on both of them. So cross members all done. Let me find my tape measure This thing turned out perfectly 37 square again. So it didn't warp, and I don't think you can get any better than that. I'll find my tape measure and show you. Alright, so from that bar plate over, I got 37 on the plate. I'm right at 37. Cross measuring it. So same thing going from the bar plate. Right on 37 there. So it's perfectly square in there. And nothing else moved. So you can see how that cross member works. So anyway, if you like this kind of stuff, check back in. Have a nice day.